We are live. What's going on, fellow traders? I hope you had a great trading day today. Let me get this tweeted out here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, what a day today. Goodness, well, we've been kind of talking about holding these pivot levels for a while, right? This midpoint line, the big resistance zone, and finally put in a pivot, right? And then got some follow through today, the downside. And we have an open gap still at that 2836, which we've been tracking. So let's go back to let's start with the monthly chart here. And as you know, we like to go through all the different time frames, all the major time frames, just so we can know what's going on around us, right? On the bigger picture, bigger scale, where all the big money is going, right, off of the monthly charts, right, and the quarterly charts, things like that. Let me just check on this real quick, make sure everybody's coming in. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. So what we like here, so here's the monthly chart, right? And so why do we look at this? We look at this because it gives us a big picture. So here you can see this pink trend line that I've drawn right here. It's from the lows, right? Those Christmas lows, the Christmas reversal low, all the way through January, right, and kind of up here. And so very simply, it looks like we're pulling back to that trend line, right? So just like on any chart, right, just a little uptrend, right, and then a slight pullback. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 green months in a row. So far, the month is red. Now, is it going to stay that way? We don't know. It hasn't reclaimed, the full length of the prior month, but more than likely, I'm thinking it's going to start to tag that, like we've been talking about, is going to tag that gap below, right? So on the weekly. So here's your weekly chart. This is what we've been seeing and we've been talking about. We had this. This was ominous here when we had the doji at the upper Keltner channel, right? That was invalidated by this Marubozu week, and then again got a green hammer, right? So this is a potential momentum move, or a hanging man on top of the Keltner channel, right? So one thing we talk about is the break of those key levels, right? So if this is a bullish bar, well, what happens, right? If that bar fails, right? What's going to happen? I call it a tail fail, the tail of the shadow here of the bar. But if that fails, right, that's going to get momentum to the downside because this bar is invalidated by that, right? And so what happens is you have people, longer term traders have stops that that say they've been trailing the stops from down here, trail stop, right? Maybe got stopped out there. Trail stop, trail stop, trail stop, trail stop, trail stop, stop out, right? And so then they unload, right? And that gives you that momentum to the downside, right? And so now, we're starting to, here's that monthly, right, trend line that we just looked at, and we have this gap here on the weekly, which is very rare. We've been talking about ever since that gap was put in that we should always be looking for, shorting opportunities to eventually attack that. Because why? Because when we short, right, things move faster, and that's why things were really, really fast today. It was actually painfully fast today in some cases, right? So, so we just have to keep that in mind, right? So let me just check in, make sure everything is coming through okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I can see my screen this time. Okay, good. All right, so there we go. That's the weekly. So the daily, what do we have today? So we have basically a red hammer that kind of formed, right? So big body, big body. Could be hangman type thing, but anyway, we tagged finally the lower Bollinger Band. Remember, we had all these choppy days, just kind of melting up into the new all-time highs, right? And then we had this compression. And for newsletter subscribers, I send this out weekly, right? We identified this, right? This the Bollinger Band here is flattening out and starting to. The upper Bollinger Band flattening out and starting to give a negative slope, right? And so the last time we saw that, right, was here, well, for the most part, but when we were up at that level was back in March, right? And so what happened here? So we were up at the level here in March, flattened out, started to go, and then look at that. We had like a 50-point down move, and that's basically what we have right here. This is a little bit more than that, almost a 100-point move, but it had a little bit of an upswing and then back down. So I guess you call that a bear flag and then down. So where does that leave us right now? Well, we could test today's lows going into tomorrow. The 50-day moving average here is at 28.57. I figure if we get that far, right, eventually we'll probably try to fill this gap here, that 28.36. Okay, my original thought was that it would kind of like try to drift down and then tag the cloud here and then go to the upside, but it does what it does, right? And it goes fast. So you can see how fast it's moving. That big bottoming tail means it really flushed and then kind of eventually came back up, right? So let's go with the short-term prime frame. Just kind of take a look at what we saw here. So subscribers, can kind of see the trades I take during the day in the private Twitter stream. But just to kind of show you here, we have today's levels pulled up. Let me zoom in today's chart. Okay, so this is what we look at, right? These levels are key. Trend lines are key. So we look at the downtrend today, and we have what do we have? So this was a down move, broke to the upside here at this well, this hammer was a nice reversal hammer on a 2B reversal there at the bottom, right? So that gave a nice push to the upside. And then look at this. In this resistance zone here, we have, look at this, topping tail, topping tail, topping tail, right? Upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, right? We talk about that like 4 or 5 of these, right? It's pretty bearish in the same zone, right? So, I mean, if you look at the big ones, we have 1, 2, 3 of those, maybe 4 and 5. And so at that point, right, we finally put in this bar here, right, after that move up, and then we have this bar right here, this red bar right here, pushes right through the daily high volumetric level, and then closes below it, and then just gives you, what is this, 3 black crows right here to the downside, pauses at your weekly S2 level, and then your monthly S1, and yep, your monthly S1, and then right, and then just kind of push to the downside, give you another bear flag here, chop, and then back down again, bear flag down, and then finally at the end of the day, they had this huge reversal bar, this big green bar right here, which is basically, you know, the end of the day rally, just a, you know, short squeeze, and anybody who was short, it's just like, okay, I'm done for the day, right? They cover their longs, and then of course you have your dip buyers that come in too and get that nice push to the upside at the end of the day. So, you know, pretty crazy day, right? I mean, overall, right, you know, on the SPX. So, you know, newsletter subscribers and the private Twitter mowing short today, so that was a, you know, great trade. We used the 15 orb on that one. We talk about that a lot, you know, here and, you know, in a lot of the videos. So the orb, right, the opening range bar is this bar right here. We went inside bar here, right, and then that broke to the downside and gave a nice move to the downside there. So we capitalized on a piece of that today. So, but yeah, this is a great stock to short today just because it's been, you know, beat up, and it's, you know, starting to get more negative news on it. And so this was one that was gapping down with the market. And so that was a nice one to just kind of ride to the downside for a bit today. So that was a good trade there. Overall in the market, let's take a look. So this is what I think we started off, you know, just kind of chatting about these pivots right here. But yeah, so this is what we were talking about. So we have this pivot level here in this resistance zone, and it got some follow through today. So, you know, do we see a gap fill? Do we go farther down than that and hit this, you know, 2790 level on the median pitchfork? Possibly, right? I mean, anything can happen. So, you know, RSI is kind of screaming down at this point, and, you know, it is possible to get some follow through. Right now, futures, they were a little bit ago, they were a little bit further red, but they seem to have recovered a little bit so far. So we'll see if that chops around throughout the night, and we see what happens tomorrow. And of course, we have news happening on, what is it, Friday. We've got the China delegation is coming to the United States to talk about trade talks. So Friday should be an interesting, possibly volatile day, one way or the other. So just keep that on the radar. It's a couple days. So tomorrow's Wednesday. You know, so we got plenty of trading days left this week to recover if it was a bad day for anybody. And you know, when, you know, just take the lessons today and just remember, you know, when the market gets crazy like this and it gets fast like this, you don't have to be involved. Right? You know, if you take a, you know, paper cut somewhere and it's like, oh no, you can stay out of the way, right? So I mean, it's you know, going long is a little bit slower, a little more methodical, right? Short is fun, right? Because it moves really fast. These bars are really fast and they move fast, right? And it's always shocking to see it, but you know, boom, boom, boom. It's just today was, you know, a couple big down moves today, so you just have to keep that in mind. So if it's too much, just get out of the way, right? So just something to consider there. Anyway, today I want to continue our discussion on chart patterns, right? So chart patterns are key, you know, from seeing on any time frame, including including the you know, daily, the weekly, the monthly, whenever you can see them, right? And yesterday we talked about the you know, finding chart patterns intraday that correspond with maybe longer time frame you know, setups. So, you know, yesterday we talked about the inside 60 setup that corresponded with a cup and handle break. So when you can combine, you know, two setups like that, and then, you know, that meet your rules, they can give a nice move. So today we're just going to look at another chart pattern, and you just kind of take a look at it. It's called 3 rising valleys, right? And it also has the inverse of it, or the opposite of it, which is the 3 falling peaks. Okay, and my good friend Scott, he likes to call it the 3C setup, but it's you know, traditionally called the 3 rising valleys. And so you know, it's rare, you don't really see it very much, but basically it's the idea, it's the concept of you know, higher highs and higher lows, right? Or lower highs and lower lows, depending on which direction you're going. And that is a definition of something that is trending, right? So if something is trending, right, it is continuing to put higher lows and higher highs, right? So it just makes sense. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? Higher low, higher high, higher, right? It means you're going up. Or if you're going down, you have lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, right? That means you're going down, right? So that's the idea. So when you see 3 in a row, significant on whatever time frame, right? We look to trade that. So let me just show you real quick. It's actually very obvious on the daily SPX. So we have this big move to the upside, right? And then we put in a pivot, right? We put in a low here. You can actually look at it either way you want to, but this looks pretty good. So you have one valley, right? One peak, 2 valleys, 2 peaks, 3 valleys. So there's your 3 lower values, all higher highs and higher lows, right? So after this one, you look for a break of the top of that peak, right, which is basically a momentum pivot move. You don't need this setup to do it, but it is nice to show that there is something going to work right there. So you draw your line right there, and then your long is the bar that breaks it. So break over that. So this is your bar right here. The high of that bar is 28.69 and 40 cents. So that's your entry level there. So the next day kind of goes down, kind of pushes down a little bit, and then breaks above it. And then ultimately it comes up, retests that level, and then breaks to the upside. So ultimately from that 28.69, it went all the way up to 29.50 for almost a 100-point move to the upside, right? So you could have looked at it differently too. You could have maybe considered that a valley, right? 3 valleys right there. Then you had your break to the upside here. And then it pulled back. Probably would have been stopped out on that one. But this is not as defined. This is more of a real pivot, right? So I like to look for that. And then you can find the same thing, right? Going to the downside, right? So, don't try to make something out of nothing, but if you see something that is lower, right? So you have 1, 2, 3 here, 2, 2, right? So you have 1, 2, 3. Here's your break, right? And then your break would be this pivot right here to the downside. So that's your bar, that's your break bar. It pretty much gave like a inside bar type thing right here. And then finally broke here to the downside. So that was 25.32 all the way down to 23.52. So almost a 200-point move to the downside there, just based on the 3 falling peaks. So that's that. So, and of course you could apply those intraday if you could find it. And I think I found one here. We'll go back to Jesse's suggestion of the 3-minute chart. We kind of have a minor one right here. So 1, 1, 2, 2. Here's your kind of a valley right here. So your long would have been over this level here. So 29.44. This is an intraday chart, 3 minutes. 29.44 all the way up to 29.47. Right. So 3-point move, not very exciting. But if we go to here, right, we kind of had this cup, right, kind of cup and handle, but it also turned into a 1, 2, 3 valleys, right, 3 rising valleys. And then you have this bar right here, which is your prior peak. Broke through there, nice pause momentum bar, right? So measured move up. So this ended up going from 29.40 all the way up to 29.45. So a nice 5-point move off of that. And you can make money off of that with options. So, so even if you miss this big move right here, right, you can still catch a piece of it by following this setup, right? So it's definitely a decent one to look at and something to keep an eye on. So percentage wise, I think it's over 50% success. So just keep it in mind, when you start seeing these, right? I mean, you might see one here. What did I see? Like 1, 2, 3. That was the one we looked at earlier. So these are really tight right here, but this is 1, 2, maybe 3. And then you break here to the upside. So 29.24, and then that launched at the end of the day. For over 10 points. So just things like that, just something to keep in mind. When you're trading, just a nice setup, nice chart pattern that you can start identifying. Again, 3 rising valleys, 3 falling peaks, or as my friend likes to call it, the 3C method. So anyway, hope you guys like that. Hope that just adds something to your tool belt. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please plug those into the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can, hopefully before 10 o'clock, so everybody can get a good night's sleep and get ready to trade tomorrow. I think it should be an interesting day tomorrow. We might, after a day like today, just to kind of give you a heads up, we might chop a little bit tomorrow. As you can see, futures are green right now. So, we might, a big move like this today, we might see, kind of a choppy day. So here, this is like a big down day there. You see how we kind of just put in a doji day. So we might see something like that, kind of down or kind of up, might just kind of chop around in here. Or, the plunge protection team comes in and loads up the market again with printed money and just, boom to the upside, right? So that's a possibility as well, but we'll see. Or, the bears push, bears press, I guess as they say, and then it goes down and fills that gap. So just be flexible, right? So anyway, good stuff. Osama, what's going on? Hey, I hope you had a great day. I know, what a day today. Whew. Something else. That's why I tweeted out a couple. I was like, please make it stop. It just won't stop. Every time it tries to go up, it's like blah. So yeah, it was pretty tough. So La Machine Polonaise, what a day, exactly. Manoj, hey, how's it going? NetPry, what's up? Google, good old Google. So this is our newsletter trade of the week, which basically gapped down to start on Monday. And gave a nice move, right? So subscribers were able to catch a couple different concepts that were on that. Let me wait for this bar to pull up here. There we go. So really nice pattern, right? I really liked how this gap down, right into the cloud. So and then it held it that first day, right? So and then it failed, right? Kind of came down, right? Sort of is flirting with this 200 moving average below, which is scary, right? So, but it did give a Morningstar reversal right here. So here's your red bar, right? Real body underneath the red bar, and then a nice green bar with a gap up too, and a close over 50% of this range. So nice Morningstar reversal after a gap down, right? And then the next day, gap down, right? And just like our double inside day method, right, we can reclaim prior ranges with some acceleration. And that's what happened this day. So it was on the long radar to break, but with the gap down, it kind of you have to go tactical with it. And so reclaiming this bar right here kind of gave a nice push to the upside. And then there was also intraday, there was a downward trend line that got reclaimed pretty early and then also broke to the upside. So there's two pretty good entries intraday. It even gave a little bit, but real tough with options, a little break here to the upside and then came back in. So this was I mistakenly called this a bullish engulfing day. Technically bullish engulfing, the prior day is red, right? Because the psychology of it is, okay, these people were short, and then it completely crushed everybody out of squeezed everybody out of that trade, and then you look to get, and the bulls come in and give it some further move to the upside. But it's still a very bullish candle, right? It's still engulfing, and pretty strong. So today, just kind of craziness, right? So we open, really push the upside. So good place to reclaim if possible, but then it just came in. The rest of the market just kind of when it was tanking, just gave a real nasty day. But it is a Harami day, so the real body is contained within this bar here. So we could see it. You can kind of consider that inside, even though the outside shadows, showing out, show that it took outside those levels. So not technically an inside day, but it is a Harami because the real body is within the other. So we could see a break here, this cloud level, which is kind of key. So basically the opening level here, this 1185 has been key, right? And if we can get through there and get through these highs, we might start seeing some gap fill action. So that could be pretty interesting. So nice one, Fry. Patchy, what's going on? Have you ever heard of John's Person's PPS indicator? Yes. Yeah, it's good. In fact, I've done a video on that. Let me pull the link up on that. It's good. Yeah. I mean, here's the deal: is that it puts those pivots in, right? Like anything. Here we go. Let me put I'm going to put it at the bottom of the text here. So. You can check that one out. I did kind of a full explanation of it and all that stuff. It is good, right? I mean, it shows you those pivot levels where it's good to go. The key is that when we're trading intraday, right, is we want to catch those before it happens, right? Because those arrows only pop up after it's like, a couple bars. Same with the TTM, what is it, TTM trend or, one of the TTM indicators. Sorry, it's off the top of my head. Yeah, not TTM wave, TTM trend. No, I can't do it. I need to look. Sorry. TTM. Scalpel alert. Sorry, TTM trend is where it turns everything blue and red. Scalpel alert is the one that puts the arrows on it. I think scalpel alert is a little bit better in terms of its consistency with showing the arrows. But again, it does it 3 bars afterwards, so you've already missed a pretty big part of the move depending on what time frame you're on. So that's the only complaint I have about it is that the arrows are good and they're effective, but they're based on a set of moving averages, right? So he's got his proprietary moving averages. So they are good. But when we trade price action intraday, that's what we really want to go off of, are like the key levels, right? So let me plug the levels on today's levels on Google up here. Let's see, floor pivots there. Okay, and newsletter subscribers, of course, get these levels free every day, and they also have access to the thing script that I posted in there. But here you can kind of see these are a couple different levels that were key. This S1 level was held pretty well, and then when that finally broke down, Google dropped, right? So we had the price pivot level right here, so that was key too. At the open, you got that nice opportunity, right? Nice quick long there, broke through the cloud, and then it held, right? held, then give you a shooting star pattern right at the price pivot level, and then that was your trigger to go down, right? So trading your price action is all better than any indicator that's out there. Why? Because indicators are all lagging, right? They're all based on the price that came before it, right? And so even moving averages, right? It's all delayed slightly. Even a 1 minute moving average or 1 second moving average is still delayed by price, right? So if we can, the better we get at learning price action around key levels, right, and then using trend lines like for looking for changes of trend, that is the ultimate, the most effective. And then combining volume with it too, right? So anytime volume increases, and change a trend too, that helps, right? That gives you shows that you're on the right side of some big money, right? So that's the idea. So that being said, though, I think person's pivot is good. I mean, it still gives you good indications, but like I said, it could pop an arrow up here to go essentially to say that it's a long, and then you're kind of getting long in here, and then you just get chopped out, right? And so it's kind of. But if you catch it here, right, on a big one, and you can combine it with some key levels, so say it puts it there, and you break down here, it could give you that confidence to be like, okay, this thing's going down, and then go with it. So I think when you could use it, as backup, I like to use indicators as backup, right? So if RSI is breaking out, or MACD is crossing over, and the price action is confirming it at a key level, I think it's good to go. So that's my thoughts on that. But yeah, check out the video too. But good question, Patchy. Awesome, man. Le Machine Bolognese, GDX, and NG. My pleasure. Yeah, so let's take a look. I know this has been on your mind. So let's see. So GDX, let's see how that's doing on the daily here. Let's take a look here. So what's it doing? So it had a 41-cent up move. Wow, big day today. So market goes down, gold likes to go up, right? So market goes up tomorrow, gold probably gonna come back down again, right? So that's just kind of the deal with it, right? So for the most part, sometimes they go in tandem, but in general, the safety money here, it goes into gold, right? So here you're kind of you pass through this intersection of a couple of these fib fan lines, but we are still at this pitch for this kind of global, this bigger, big pitchfork level that we have from this high, that pivot high, to that pivot low, all the way back down to that low here. So we are pivoting off of that level. So we could see a retest of it and then a move back to the upside, or we might get some follow through, right? I do like how it held. Kind of this RSI low right here, so kind of double bottom here on the RSI. There's a couple factors. Pivoting here at the pitchfork does give it a bullish argument. Might want to retest kind of those prior support levels as resistance. So it is a possibility. But again, it does get choppy. So you can see here it moves up, chops right back down, moves up, chops right back down. So very, very tricky one. But yeah, it does look bullish. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna drink water. Okay. Next, and then NG. Let's take a look. NGAS. Let's take a look. So we've got. All right, so we had kind of these levels here. All right, that was we were hoping for, right? Remember that we were looking at the a pennant type deal, like potential break to the upside to hopefully get through that volumetric level. It never happened, right? Tried, right? Tagged the fib fan line, back up to the fib fan line, back down to the fib fan line, and starting to show some bullish activity here. And now it could retest those levels at 414, right? Or it might just kind of continue to chop down too, and then maybe retest these levels. So that gap was filled on that prior break to the downside. Yeah, so this one is looking pretty interesting. So I'm trying to see, you might have a 2B reversal here to the downside, right? So you have that push up, a higher push up, and then back down. So that was your short level actually was that bar right there, right? So we know the 2B reversal, right? So push up, down, that broke that level and then came back in. So this is the bar that pierced this bar. So that's your entry here below 4.4, and that would have worked 4.4 down to 3.84, right? Very, very, very tricky, right, at these small prices. But it is holding that fib fan level. It might want to retest. If it goes up, might want to retest 420. If it goes down, might want to test this 361. Really, really tough to read this because of the chop here on that center line. So. But good ones, nice ones, LMP, my friend. Paul, what's up? The Bears are back, maybe. Exactly. So, well, the Bears, we'll see. We'll see how they are. So, because I was, anybody who caught the short moves today was pretty impressive. Now, volume was really, really high. Right, I'm sorry, implied volatility is really, really high. So you guys got to be careful, right? Probably the best technique today is selling put spreads instead of trying to buy the dip, right? Because the IV is really high. When it finally reversed at the end, that was a great move and could have collected a lot of that premium. So anyway, but yeah, good stuff. Osama, let's take a look. So we got Netflix, and oh, you got the good one. So Netflix. I like this. I was looking at this earlier when I was charting this on Twitter. This channel has been just an amazing channel, right? Following this fib fan line to the upside, right? So any pullbacks to it have been bought, right? So now, of course, it could undershoot it and come back up, but for the most part, it held this and then came back up off it. So I do like Netflix. I'm pretty bullish on Netflix. It'll be on the game plan tonight as a potential long if the market is strong tomorrow. It could make a nice recovery. Nvidia, on the other hand, if you guys remember our discussion on the other day, the bump and run. Well, Nvidia put in a bump and run, so or it's working on it. So here was your this is your run bar, right? About 30 degrees, right? And then it bumped, right? Here, 60-degree line came all the way up to this midpoint line of the pitchfork, right? And then it was kind of chopping around a little bit, tried to fill a gap, missed, gap down, filled back gap, and then back down again. So here it is approaching the run line. So if it gets to this is one kind of 67 area and then breaks through it, you might see that's where you might see that push, that downside push into earnings even, which is kind of tricky as premium continues to go up. But you might see that move to the downside, and then who knows, earnings might be good, and then it launches and fills all these gaps and all that stuff. So that's Nvidia, but it is kind of working on that bump and run like we talked about the other night. Apple missed the gap fill yesterday to the downside, so it tried to fill this gap here from the gap up. So it missed it yesterday by 10 cents. It fulfilled the gap today and then kind of came back up off of it briefly. So most of these put in hammers at the end of the day on the hourly chart. So let's see if we can hold this. That 200 level is going to be really, really key for Apple. So I would like to see another, maybe like a green day, maybe get through this pitchfork level to start kind of working its way back up that fib arc. But I do like that it's filled the gap already within 2 days and kind of reversed off of it. Nice one. So Roku. Earnings coming up, right? All right, so let me get the exact time if I can get it here. So yeah, so earnings are tomorrow after the close. So should be pretty interesting, right? Roku's a fun stock to trade when you can get on the right side of it. We swung this one. The newsletter subscribers, had a nice swing on this one, and we caught a big gap up last week and nice profit on that one. There is still a gap above. Wait, where did that get filled? Let's see, low 68.27, high. Yeah, that got filled. Wow, today. So it gapped up today, filled that gap, right? And then came back in, just kind of, put in that big down move right there. So, wow, gap fill. That was the original target of the swing trade. We just took profits back here. And then it looks like it is pushing to the downside. So we'll see how earnings go tomorrow. Really, it's the best we could do. And then trade the 15 orb after that on Friday. And so we do have that open gap right there. I think there's an open gap down here. So open gap down here. So anything could happen with this stock. Fun stock to trade. Just have to be on the right side of the trade. So we'll wait until after earnings on that one. So good stuff, Osama. Robin, how are you? Good evening. Let's see. So QQQ and Bank of America. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for your support. QQQ. Let's see what we can see. All right, lots of lines. I do have a lot of lines on there. That's kind of unnecessary. We'll deal with that later. So, but right now it did pivot off of this 161% retracement of the lows, right? Of this final move to the downside. This was originally working on Elliott Wave for this. I'll actually remove these right now. It doesn't really, or I can just kind of clear the set. Oh, what's QQQ2? It's a little bit cleaner. I'm going to remove these Fibonacci lines. Remove. Drawing. Okay, there we go. A little bit cleaner there. So this is that move, right? So here's your kind of little bit larger term pitchfork, right, from the pivot high, pivot low, right? This move up has been, almost parabolic, right? So I'm just going to extend this a little bit. 3 ABC, it would have been a real quick wave 4, but it's possible, and then might give you a wave 5 to the upside. So that is the cues. If we go to the candlestick. Let's see what the candlestick looks like today. Yeah, very similar to the SPX. So, and then Bank of America. How'd that do today? How'd that hold up? Pretty poorly. I mean, it did put in a hammer, right? A little bit more sharper hammer than some of its counterparts, and almost tried to hold the mid Bollinger Band there. We do see a death cross coming here on the 510 MA on the daily. So that's something to keep in mind. One thing I did like about Bank of America recently was it's two earnings ago had a really big gap up, right? Tested that gap level 1, 2, 3 times, and then uh, to the downside. So really 1, 2 kind of times there, and then to the downside, right? And then filled the gap, came back up, gapped, and then kind of came back up again. So now it is looking a little bit toppy, right? Again, it's in this congestion zone and resistance zone. So for the most part, if you want it, you can wait until it gets out of there. See how there's resistance, 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 and then all this kind of congestion in here. It's back in that. So if it gets below there, it might start to try to retest to the downside and even kind of go into that gap. So, but if it holds, you might be able to catch like a little break, a little pivot here, a little break over $30.30 for maybe a shot up to like 31 and then a little bit higher. So, so that does look interesting. Nice one, Robin. Sindor, yeah. Oh, Regeneron. Thank you for bringing this up. So Regeneron was earnings today. It was on the game plan list. I can't look at everything, right? But it did have a 21-point down move today. Excuse me. Let's take a look at the 15 orb on that because it was earnings day. Let's see how that did. Where am I? Oh, I'm way over there. Hold on. Okay. So there you go. It kind of worked right at the open. So here's your 15-minute orb right here today after earnings. So pretty big range of R, but it broke handily to the downside. So it was 327, boom to the downside to 320. So a nice 7-point move off the 15 orb. So obviously, the game plan is to collect profits in there. Then we like to see how it handles that 15 orb range again. So I'm going to put a price point on that. So we have this. Then it got tricky, right? A little bit tricky. Came back in, right? Kind of a reversal bar, then another push to the downside here, right? Then kind of chopped around, inside bar, broke to the downside there, another move to the downside. So your best move on that today was here, that just right off that first 30 minutes. So after the first 15 minutes, break to the downside, 327 down to 320. So nice push. Then it reclaimed. So it kind of held those levels for a good part of the day, even though ultimately it ended up down at tagged a low of 318. So tomorrow we'll take a look at the 30-minute orb on it, and because usually that's good for day 2 after earnings or some big news, and we'll see how it holds that 30-minute bar on Regeneron. So nice. And then what else? Bind options for tomorrow. Chart please. Yeah. So BYND. So let's see. What did it have? Let's go to the daily. See how that looks. Okay, not sure what options you have. Oh, okay, Beyond Meat. Thank you. Beyond. I thought it was Beyond. Okay, so yeah, so it had a huge move. This is actually for once a good IPO, right? And then let's see there. Oh, options open tomorrow. So so that's the deal, right? So today we had a topping tail, right? And so we will look. High here was 74.84. The low here was 74.85. So technically this gap isn't filled. It's a 1 penny gap. But if it does break to the downside and doesn't find that as support, right, you might see a push to the downside. Might even test the lows of that level. Right here we've got a volumetric level here, 65. So you might look at 65s if it can break today's low. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Or you get a tail fail off the shooting star and then it goes up to, who knows, to 95. But huge move on Beyond Meat. Probably a little overextended, so that topping tail is definitely indicative of that. So break down there, I would at least look for a target halfway range there around like 69. So nice, yeah, that'll be really good one to look at. Harvey, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Let's see what else we got going on. Okay. All right, there we are. Yeah, good to see you, Harvey. I hope you had a good day today. Moody, what's up? Let's take a look. So could you please give me analysis on Facebook for a play tomorrow? So sure. So Facebook, let's see. Okay, so here's the deal with Facebook. So Facebook is kind of in this kind of no man's land right now. It was following this fib arc up. It had a nice gap up, but it still has this gap to fill below. So if the market is weak tomorrow, right, and it can get below this 187.25, right, or even just 187, it should be able to fill that gap down to 185. That's kind of the key level. Other than that, it's just been kind of chopping around here. You could consider this a pennant forming as well. So you just have to kind of use that kind of if-then type stuff. So if it breaks 187, we'll probably fill gap, and look to fill gap. But if not, look at potential pennant break, right? So it might kind of open in this range here and then pop to the upside. So just keep that in mind. That on these big gap ups, right? These pennants work really well. So just keep that in mind too. So there's two options there, right? So break of today's low could potentially imply, some authority, could imply a gap fill. If not, if it chops, might have a choppy day tomorrow, and then break to the upside the next day for a pennant break on that. So as it holds these support levels from the gap. So a couple things to look at there, definitely. Ayaz, how's it going? Good to see you. Great catch on that 2B reversal on Amazon. So nice move on that. Shirley, what's going on? Good to see you. Merritt, beyond very good. Yeah, we just looked at that. So yeah, that shooting star is going to be key. It's going to be a tell-all on that one. Deepen, what's going on? Let's look at GoGo. All right, cool. Why is this happening to me? What was that? All right. All right. So GoGo is what is this? 5.9. Okay. So earnings in 2 days. What kind of shares? Oh, trade's pretty high. Interesting. So this push to the downside. It had a big gap up over the 200-day moving average, right? So, and then it's been chopping around up here. It's got this volumetric level here. This $5.17 is pretty key inside day today too. So just watch, see how it handles that. A possible break to the downside could lead to, maybe test the 50-day, maybe test the 200-day, and then of course you got earnings coming up too. How far back does this go? Okay, so if it could get above that 517 level with any sort of push, right? You got a gap right here at 609. You got a nice pivot right here, another gap right here, right? It's got a lot of potential to the upside, so that is something to think about. But again, kind of penny type stock, it's got a gap below too, and it's got volumetric level below. So inside day, it looks like it's chopping into earnings, and I think once earnings comes out, it's going to give some sort of move on that. So interesting. Yeah, just be careful with those cheaper stocks. So especially the spreads, change on you a lot. Session, what's going on? Good to see you. Jay, hello. Mike, what's up? NetFried, my pleasure. Session, all right, Xilinx. Oh, nice one. I haven't looked at Xilinx in a while. XL and X. Excuse me. This is one that you want to see reverse off of that gap down off of earnings, but it's just kind of chopping so much. So it's really not looking strong right here, right? It's having every time it tries to get up, it's not holding very well. If anything, this could be kind of like a bear flag, and it could kind of break to the downside. So this key level of support here is this 110. If it gets below 110, you might be potential swing here to fill this gap below. Otherwise, I would look for some sort of pattern. Maybe, just maybe, it's doing a pennant right here. From here to here. So that is a possibility, right? So it is kind of consolidating. It could pop out of that. So that there is something bullish there going on. So that's good. So definitely something to keep in mind there. But that 110 is a key level if it wants to break down. Cyber. Let's take a look. Wow. That's held up really well through all this stuff. Earnings coming up in about a week. And obviously, big uptrend. You could even draw a channel around this big move. Right? Nice move to the upside. So to see how it holds working through there. If earnings are good, it could, or it could get an earnings run and eventually get pretty high. That's starts to get really steeper there. To me, it seems like it's probably ready for a correction back down. But who knows, right? It could see how the earnings are. If it doesn't really get much on earnings, eventually it's going to kind of run out of steam, right? So, and you've had some, a couple big volume days, but in general, it looks like the average has been kind of going down here. So just something to keep in mind there. WWE. Oh yeah. Let's see. So earnings were meh, right? A little negative earnings and all that stuff. But let's see how this trend. It also had a channel going up too. So we got this from here. Nice channel, beautiful channel right there to the upside, and then bad earnings, gaps down below it, bear flag here. Type thing. So if that breaks below, like today's lows, the 61.8 retracement from this different day here, how it's kind of hanging out there. So 82.80, 82.50 ish. You could see it attacking some more pivots below. Or it could just be kind of slowly climbing its way up, trying to get up there. But my guess is either chop or a potential break to the downside on that. So get body slammed on it. So and then EA is going to be on the 15 orb list for tomorrow for sure. We had earnings come out tonight, so let's see how those look right now. Okay, a little crazy, but as of now, it's up 8 points, right? So EA and these kind of gaming stocks have been beat up a lot recently. So let's, oh, look at that. It's right at a reaction line, too. Right? So here's your reaction line. So there's your action line, pivot, reaction line. So it's right there, right at earnings. So a big pop up to the upside, 100. So what we do is we look for pivots, look for if it gaps up over that pivot right there, and it won't, but if it somehow gaps over 109, you're going to have a lot of short covering, and then it could really move fast to the upside, right? But at this point, it's gapping up kind of around this 100, kind of support area. So we'll see. We'll see what it can do tomorrow. But we'll check out the 15 orb. It could be an interesting one to trade tomorrow for sure. So Patchy, yeah, no problem. My pleasure. Sunny Zen, what's going on? Twilio and TTD. So let's take a look at Twilio. TWLO. Again, this is sort of like that the last one we just looked at, the cyber. I mean, these kind of cloud company type things have just been pretty incredible. Big move to the upside, right? Nice nice move after earnings. Kind of came back into this pitchfork though, so just look and see if it how it holds that 125 level, and if it can hold that and pivot, right, it might work its way back up to 136, right? If it can't hold it might test the 119. Right, so something to keep in mind there on Twilio. Then TTD, the fun stock to trade if you can get on the right side of it, is looks like it's running out a little bit of steam up here. Looks like it wants to test sort of that triangle level right here of like 201. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So at there, it might get find some support and try again to the upside. Earnings are on the 9th, so that could be the catalyst to something. Good one to trade the 15 orb on that one too for sure. It was fun last quarter. Joseph, what's going on? Good to see you. Of course, you have PPS on YouTube. Yeah, nerd alert. That's funny. So, the HMY new buy today. HMY. Is that the homie stock? Let me see. There you go. Harmony Gold Mining. It's gonna break out one of these days, right? Long term. It's a long term strategy. And look, it's got an up arrow in the name too. So there you go. So I like it. Nice. Rippy, what's going on? Good to see you. Merritt, how are you? Manoj. Futures are great. Yeah, the futures are now they're chopping again. So we'll see how we finish. Open in the morning. All right, Shirley, good to see you. Everybody, keep an eye on Shirley's levels. They are usually amazingly accurate. So just an added benefit of joining the live stream. No, I understood you, Rippy. Yeah, so good, Harvey. I'm glad audio is good. So good. Okay, sure. Let's check that out. So CMS. Was there anything green today, by the way, at the end of the day? Yeah, I think there was probably a few things. Let's just take a look real quick. Sorry. Let's go visualize here real quick. Let's go heat map. Yeah, see, there's a couple of green stocks. It wasn't all red today. NASDAQ 100. Look, Henry Schein was green today on the NASDAQ. And then S&P 500. Look at that. We had AIG. A couple guys got AIG long. GM was green. Kinder Morgan. Look at that. Jacobs Engineering. A lot of these engineering companies were good today. Gold. So what was this? Yeah, there's Henry Schein again. Oh, McKesson. There you go. Darden Restaurants. That was on the radar in the newsletter, I believe, if I had that in there. But it was definitely on the watch list. So it's good stuff. Anyway, so CMS. Nice. What I'll do here is draw. I might just draw a channel for you. There. Yeah, it looks kind of contained here, kind of within those levels. So just see how it handles that. I think if it pushes right after earnings were kind of so right. Just be careful here. It might test the low end of this range, this 51. Just kind of see how it holds up. But shorter term, if you draw a trend line here to here, just make sure it can hold 54.35, right? So just keep that in mind. But other than that, after that, levels could be good. I hope it runs. And then Mitch, this has got earnings. Were the earnings today or tonight? I can't remember. Yeah, after the close. So how did it do today? Up. So it is up significantly after hours. So, well, pretty decently. So that's good. So just keep that in mind. I'll trade the 15 orb on that. Look to trade the 15 orb on that one tomorrow. But a nice gap up here over 65 could push to the upper end of the pitchfork. So might be good there. And then Merit, yes, lift. Earnings were out tonight. This will be on the 15 orb list tomorrow. It was up and then it was down. So it is now down after hours. Yeah, big push to the upside, and then now it's kind of choppy, kind of back down. So we'll see. Definitely worth trading looking at the 15 orb on that tomorrow as well. SWCH. Good. Yeah, nice cup, right? So cup handle and potential break after earnings tomorrow. So just keep an eye on that. Just be careful trading to earnings, right? So, but potential earnings break could be good. NCR. Whew, big pop there. So with some volume, so definitely worth looking for a continuation of the upside, especially a break of today's highs. And then AR. Antero. Nice. Has some work to do, Shirley. It's got to get above, right, that 991 level. Basically, after that, it could get over $10 and then could work its way back up to that 19 on that. So good stuff. Good list, Shirley. Where am I? JS, what's going on? NVTA and NEO. Yeah, NEO's coming up too, right? Or did I already do earnings? I can't. But NVTA, yeah, very strong here. Looks like we've kind of glanced at this a little bit. Earnings were a little meh, but it seemed to hold on okay. It had this channel to the upside, broke down, held this 100% retrace. I think we were going off of volumetric levels here. Yeah, we did a volumetric on this. So pretty amazing stuff how it kind of came up, held that level again, and then back up. So just something to keep an eye on here. It might get some continuation. I'd look at the 30-minute bar tomorrow just to kind of see if it gives you any clues. But so far it's holding this 2125 level pretty well, and then you can kind of even do another trend line here and just see if it holds that for you. So it's at a key level. If it breaks down below that, you might see this could be a big bear flag that it's working on, and then push the downside to retest that 21 level. So just keep that in mind on that. And then NEO. Earnings are today. Did it already report? Somebody said it was burning through money. I can't remember. Was it today? 5-7 after the close? I don't know. I can't really tell. But at this point, it's just trying to hold these that volumetric level at 474 right there. So, if it moves and gaps, it could push. You got all sorts of gaps above. I mean, this could be a crazy fun stock to trade. On the 15 order. In fact, let me add that to the watch. No, I won't add it to the watch list, but it's a little too cheap. But it does look interesting. So it's a nice one there. So we'll see how that kind of plays through earnings with that one. Then maybe we could pull a wave count on it down the line. Good stuff. No problem, JS. My pleasure. Rippy, you have calls in Bank of America. Cool. If XLV bounces tomorrow, should work. Yes. Very good. Let's see. XLV. Healthcare. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, definitely working its way, right? So it might retest there that 85, and then work its way back up. But yeah, good stuff. Nefra, the bubble alarm, nice. Yeah, that's what it was. What is that? Harvey, Google buy signal. Yeah, I mean it's trying to. I think we got what do we get today? Like that doji day, or that spinning top day. So the buy signal on it is it's got to get above 1185 and stay above it, right? So obviously getting above, these prior highs here, these 1195s could get some push to the upside. It's got to get above here to 1200. Once it can get through 1200, it should work its way up to 1225, possibly that 1250 level. So I like it. It's trying to pop out of this cloud, right? It's not giving up yet. So there could be some potential. If the market gets really nasty, though, it might eventually test this 200-day moving average, which is also the bottom of the cloud, and then probably come up off of that, I would have to imagine. So good stuff. BA, Joseph, what's up? BA and MU? Yep, absolutely. So BA, we looked at earlier. This was a Positive Trends newsletter subscriber, just a scalp trade today. to the downside. So just got the downgrade, and market was really weak and had a nice down move today. So this is the biggest red bar it's had in a while. So we got to short a piece of that today. We looked at the 15 orb here, went inside, broke that to the downside. So it gave a nice move. And then basically, yeah, still looking weak. I mean, in general, right, that's a pretty weak bar. It does have volumetric support here that it kind of gapped in. It's holding that level. So see how it holds this. If it can't hold 350, right, it's probably going to continue down some more, right? So why do I have that line? There's a gap to fill there too. So there is a gap at like 331-ish. So if it continues to stay weak, it could continue to go down, So, and then MU, very nice. It's kind of it's been on the long radar a little bit. Oh, but $1.87 down is rough. So, yeah, nasty move today. So it's really got some work to do. It's got to get back to try to do a cloud breakout. It's got to get over 41, right, for another push to the upside. Otherwise, it might just chop in here and then break out of the cloud to the downside. So, pretty nasty on that one. Merit Forever Twitter, of course. It does. Twitter has a 60 anchor bar tomorrow, so that's definitely something to keep a look at the open, which they're my favorite when we're choppy into the open. So could give some nice moves. Really rough day today, like kind of everything else, but still kind of holding up. Looks like a kind of a big, kind of flag. Definitely some horizontal action here. Let's see. So look at this. Right. So it's kind of holding that channel zone right there. So just keep that in mind, right? But if it does break today's lows, you might get that push to the downside and start to work on filling that gap. Melly. Inside day, break to the downside. So, it might retest this kind of gap level here, or just look for some consolidation in here and then look for direction. But in general, it's been so ridiculously bullish. You'd have to imagine at some point you get sort of maybe like a pennant here. Maybe a pullback and then a pennant. Let's see. So let's go. Just kind of do this level here. So let's see if we can get a little more consolidation for a couple days. Maybe some choppiness and then a break to the upside would be sweet if it doesn't fall down and start filling the gap. Mike, that's his 1960s Batcave phone. That's right. To the Batcave, Robin. Regini, how are you? How do you get those dotted trend lines in TOS? So those are the fib fan lines. And so I have done a video on fib fans. So here's the fib fan. There. And yeah, so basically all you do is you go from you click down here in the bottom right hand corner, you click this, see that right there, Fibonacci fans, right? And then you find a pivot low and a pivot high, so a peak and a trough, and then you can draw the lines between them. So here's a recent trough, recent peak, and this is on Mercado Libre, and there you go. There's your lines, and you can customize them, right? They could be anything you want. You just go to edit properties, then you can just customize how you want it. I just made them dotted, right? So, but they're probably defaulted like solid or something like that. I just did that so to kind of separate it from my usual trend lines. So just something that you could do. You can customize those. Yeah, it's a fib fan line, Fibonacci fan line. And there's a little video to that down there. So, Nvidia bad earnings. Oh, thanks, Nefra. Yeah, sorry I didn't check that. But yeah, bad earnings. So down a lot. Okay, good. Yeah, sorry guys for not catching the earnings on that. But yeah, definitely you can check out the 15 orb on that one tomorrow. So good stuff, everyone. Harvey, no problem. My pleasure. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody's support. Definitely, if you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, check it out. We put it out every weekend and comes to your inbox on Sundays. It gives you a really comprehensive view of the market, and it also comes with a free Twitter feed where if I take a trade, I post it in there. So lots of good educational stuff in that. So and I post daily videos and all sorts of other fun stuff. So anyway, appreciate your support. Be safe going in tomorrow. So always remember your risk first before you trade, and then stay safe so you can stay in the game. So have a good night, everybody, and I will talk to you tomorrow.